Traveling to Consciousness, exploring spiritual journeys to find answers in uncertainty.
What is up, conscious monkeys? Welcome back to another episode of Traveling to Consciousness. As always, I'm your host, Clayton Cuteri, and I was scratching my brain for what Indigo Education I could help you guys with, I could give to you. And I started thinking that there wasn't anything. And it was really annoying me because I know that there is so much more knowledge, not only for me to learn, but for you to learn as well, for me to relay to you guys things that I have seen in my life dramatically increase it. Because less than 12 months ago, yours truly, me, was financially struggling. Let's be honest here. Let's call a spade, whether you knew it or not. And now, as I sit here today, I'm making far more than $10K per month. And I have given you this indigo knowledge of what I have been doing. So you can even look back. And at the time, if you didn't listen, honestly, I would call you very wise to not just foolishly listen to what I was telling you, because I have made plenty of mistakes in my life. But I think that you truly need someone who is embodying where you want to go, the direction that you want to go in life, in order to take their advice. I don't think it is very wise for you to take advice. And I think naturally as humans, we don't do this. We don't take advice from people who aren't where we're trying to go or what we're trying to achieve. So I give you great kudos if you have not been listening. But after this turning point, I think that it is going to start becoming foolish to not go back and listen to the Indigo Education podcast, and to not test for yourself whether or not this knowledge works for you. Now, the key thing is that you do have to be patient. You can't just think that this is a quick fix, because in today's society, that is what we have been programmed into believing. I just saw recently that Ozempic put Weight Watchers out of business because it has been doing so well. And quite frankly, I think that's a microcosm of what's going on within America, within the social fabric of America. And I think that that's a very big problem, that we're unable to delay gratification. Now, of course, there's a balance here, because you can't just infinitely delay gratification, but you have to be able to put in the proper work in the proper way to get the proper outcome. Otherwise, you're going to be looking for this quick fix. So whenever it comes to this indigo knowledge, I do want to encourage you to give it time. Give it 4, 5, 6 months of trying each of these techniques. And you can go all in if you want. That's what I did. And hey, within less than 12 months, I have seen extreme financial abundance. And not only that, listen, it is not just about the financial abundance here. It's about the internal peace as well that I have gained and cultivated within myself as I have gone throughout this process. So it's about the financial abundance, of course, because we need money to survive. But it is also very much about the internal peace and calmness that I have found within my life that has made me the man who I'm becoming. And it feels right. It feels empowering. It feels like I'm starting to understand the universe and the world and how people work at a deeper level. Because I've always thought that. And I think at some level, if we don't kid ourselves, oh, I was so ignorant at this age, now I'm smarter. Which is true, but it feels like that is starting to unravel at a faster rate, at least for me. And this knowledge that I am providing you with will give you that lens, that framework, so that you can see how these energies are playing behind the scenes. Now, the difficulty that I run into with this is that this is for the masses. This is for any random person who just taps in. And I have to be conscious of this. I'm very conscious of these podcasts are for random people who come in and just tap in and say, oh, okay, let me just see what's going on here. So in these podcasts, I can't get deep into the material. I can't give you the minutia, the nuance that occurs within these knowledges. You have to kind of just go and find it for yourself. So what I am doing is I am putting together an academy called the Indigo Education Academy, and I am working on it right now as we speak, and it's coming together very well. And this academy is only going to be for the elite, the ones of you who I know are going to succeed. So now for this academy, I need you to, we don't have a landing page just yet. It's in the process. It's actually almost done. It's very beautiful. It's an incredible, incredible landing page. I need you guys to find my newsletter. It's going to be in the link tree or down below. You need to send your email so that you get updates on that landing page. on understanding whenever the Indigo Education Academy is ready to go to accept applicants, because not everybody is going to be accepted. You have to realize that I am only going to be offering this to people who their application indicates that they are ready for this in-depth knowledge. Because if it fails for you, I'm responsible. It's my fault. So I can only accept people who I believe are truly going to get the knowledge out of this. And furthermore, not everybody is going to pass, because we are going to have a rigorous pass-fail system where you have to truly embody the knowledge in order for you to move on to the next stage. So I want you to check that out, because it's going to be very important as we dive into our topic today, because I will not be able to get into the intricacies of this topic. I'll be able to give you the very basics, the very basic understanding of what's going on and what you can do with this knowledge. And here's what I want to do is, like, this free information is I'm going to give you enough information where if you take it and you go out and use this knowledge about movies into the real world, into life, you'll be able to eventually understand it all if you continuously do it. But the thing is that with the Indigo Education Academy, you're going to be able to do it so much more quickly. I'm going to give you those minutiae that it took me months and months to figure out for myself. So with the Indigo Education, not only are you going to be able to learn all the intricacies, but it's going to save you time. And as you start to become diligently aware, you're going to realize that money will save you time in life. If you can pay someone to do something for you, it saves you time. If you can pay a cook, a chef to cook your meals for you, it saves you the time of cooking them yourself. If you're going to pay the Indigo Education Academy to learn this material, we're going to give you so much knowledge that it will save you time. So you're essentially trading your money for time, which is a whole nother energetic. I think we talked about it in one of the other podcasts. If not, I'll create another one in the future. But the point that I'm trying to relay here is that at the end of this podcast, you will have the building blocks of the Indigo education around movies, around entertainment, such that you're able to take that into the real world and understand how you can apply that to your daily life. Now, what is going on with movies? What's going on with movies? What's going on with entertainment? What's going on with the television? What's going on with the TV? Let us all come in and have a little discussion about it. And the movie that's coming to mind for me right now is Inception. If you don't know, Inception is about these people who go into your dreams to basically incept an idea into your mind so that you play it out on the physical layer. They've created this technology where you can enter someone's dream, and in that dream, you convince them to do something, and then it becomes their idea so that they think that they thought of it. Now, I need to actually rewatch this podcast, or I need to rewatch this movie because I keep getting little downloads and pokes that I need to watch it. So the key frame here, though, is that ideas can be incepted into your subconscious mind. I actually recently talked about this, I think, in the very last podcast. So it's actually a great transition if you're one of the daily listeners. So what it is movies. Here's the big enchilada. I'll give you the big enchilada, and we're going to dive into what it means, okay? But we're just going to go for it, right? Is that movies, TV shows, the news, they incept ideas into your mind such that you get to a point where you think that these ideas are yours. You believe that you're the one who came up with this idea, when in reality, they created it for you. And there's a perfect example of this. You can look it up. Magicians do this all the time. It's usually with card tricks. Sometimes when they try to get you to find something, they'll do little triggers throughout the beginning of it so that you start to think of those things. There's a famous act where a guy has an audience. I wish I had like the video of it, but he has an audience and he goes through his entire act. And then at the end, he basically has them pick 4 words in 4 different categories. And he gets them to he somehow predicts every single word that they are going to pick. And he even explains afterwards, like, this isn't magic, it's psychology. He's like, I programmed you throughout my entire act such that you would gravitate towards, like, the likelihood you would pick these 4 things became undeniable. He just knew that the way he incepted the idea, and again, you're going to have to look this up, the way that he presented the information, you were going to just pick these 4 things based on the show. Now, why does this happen? What's going on here? What happens is whenever we watch a movie, and we do this majority of our time throughout our life, is that we're very unconscious of our thoughts and our actions and the people around us. But even more so, when you're sitting down watching a movie, watching television, you become unconscious. You like fall into your unconscious brain. You're no longer active. You allow your brain essentially to go offline, your conscious mind go offline, and connect your subconscious mind to that movie, to the television, to the show that you're watching, to the news. And whether you know it or not, you're allowing them to program you. This is why it's called programming on the television. It's literally why I call it programming. You allow them to program your subconscious mind such that you will act in a certain way or behave in a certain way, knowingly or unknowingly. And a perfect example of this is, if you want to try it out, you can go and start trying to watch, especially if you're a news watcher, I would say watch Fox News or watch CNN, switch them. So if you normally watch one of them, switch and go to the other one. You will notice a pattern interrupt, which will cause anger in you because you've already been preconditioned by the alternative to believe a certain way. Now, if you watch the other one long enough, and it might take years depending on how long you've done it, you will start to adopt their line of thinking. It will start to seep into your subconscious mind if you are just watching it. Now, let's get back to where this is actually the most beneficial, the most important. And that is with movies, because movies are long form. You sit in a dark room, you have to turn off your phone, and you go and you watch it uninterrupted. That's when the ultimate programming comes in. Now, you have to be very careful, because here's the thing. Here's the great thing. Here's the beauty of it. Like most things in this life, is that there's a good way to use it and a bad way to use it. There's a way that you can use it to cultivate a better life, and a way that you can use to completely destroy your life. So what you have to do is become intimately aware of the movie that you are going to watch. And you have to consciously think, is this the energy that I want to accept into my body? Is this a program that I want to accept as my reality? Because it will play out on the physical. It will affect your mood. It will affect the emotions that come into your mind and into your body over the coming weeks. I have a perfect example for this, and this is before I even knew about this knowledge. Now, I'm a huge James Bond fan. Huge James Bond fan. I love James Bond. I've seen every single movie multiple times. And I was in Brazil. And if you're a longtime listener to the podcast, you know there was a time I was in Brazil. And honestly, I don't even remember if I made a podcast about this. I might have made a podcast about this, warning people not to go to this movie. So I should actually look that up. But hold on. I'm actually going to go look it up and then come back to this. All right. It looks like I did not make a podcast about this, but that's okay. We saved it for now. So here's the story. Here's how it played out. Now, this also contains spoiler alerts if you haven't seen the quote-unquote newest James Bond, which is called No Time to Die. So basically, I'm in Brazil by myself, excited. This movie comes out. I go. I sit in the theaters. I watch it. And at the end of and here's the thing. First of all, there's some rules with characters. And you don't break those rules, because then it's no longer the character, right? Like, for example, imagine even someone in the physical layer, right? If you take Donald Trump, for instance, and say he goes out there and starts wearing a dress and he starts identifying as a woman. It's not the character, unless he has a bit about it, but he's like dead serious and he's like, this is who I am now. Or, he starts making crazy policy shifts. You're like, this isn't the person I thought he was. Because there's rules. You create a persona, and there's certain rules that you follow in order for that person to be who they are. Otherwise, it's no longer the character. So with James Bond, there are certain rules that you don't break. Here's where the spoilers come in. In the movie, they broke many rules. The biggest rule that they broke, the biggest rule, and this is what crushed me at the end, is that James Bond dies at the end of the movie. They literally killed James Bond. For 50 some odd movies, they have never done that. He doesn't die. He rides off in the distance, being a great person, being the leader, being the masculine, archetypical man. But yet in this movie, they killed him. For the next 2 weeks, I was furious. I was so angry. I was pissed off that they would do such a thing, completely ruin the film. I told everyone I knew, don't go watch the movie. They kill him at the end. It's a tragedy. It's terrible. You're stupid if you go and watch it. It's a waste of time, waste of money. I'm pissed, blah, 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 blah. So what happened was, okay, that's physical layer. Let's talk about astrally, energetically, subconsciously. What happened is that I mentally was identifying myself with James Bond for the 2 some hours, maybe even longer than 2 hours. Maybe my whole life I had identified with James Bond. And through this movie, it goes on. He wins. He kills the bad guy. And then at the end of the movie, he dies. He's killed. My subconscious mind then becomes programmed to death, to that the hero will die, that the hero needs to be killed in order for blah, 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 blah. And what you have to understand is the mood that this put me in. Of course, I'm not aware of the energies. I don't understand what's going on. I think I'm super self-aware, blah, 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 blah. But I was pissed off afterwards because my subconscious mind was programmed that the hero dies. That was a program that got created for a short period of time within me. Because I allowed this movie to control my subconscious mind, and therefore I became angry afterwards. And I'm sure that made people around me angry, which would change my reality. So you have to realize, you have to intimately realize that these movies are programming you at a subconscious level to think, to feel, and to behave a certain way. So you have to become intimately aware with the movie you are about to go and see. Nowadays, and here's a good little life hack, I will go, before seeing a movie, I will go to ChatGPT or Grok or any AI software, and I will sit there and say, and here's a technique. Here's like a kind of like a brief technique for you. And I will say, I'm going to see this movie. In a one-word answer, is there a hero, and does that hero die at the end? I guess you need 2 words, but for each question. And it'll tell me, it'll say, this is the hero, no, they don't die. Or no, there's no hero. Or the hero is very abstract, blah, 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 blah. And I won't go to those movies because it's a waste of time. Because my life, my trajectory, what I want is to be the hero of my life. Now, if you don't want to be the hero of your life, if you want anger, you want sadness, you want fear, that's your choice. Go for it. But don't go to a hero movie. You want to make sure you go to one of these scary movies where there's fear and you're tense and you're afraid the entire time, where the main character dies at the end. Those are the movies for you. But what happens is that the most important thing that you have to realize out of this podcast, I don't know what you want out of life, but what you have to realize is that you are controlling that reality that you will create in the physical layer. And again, there's techniques that will take this to another level, but I'm saving those for the Indigo Education Academy because I don't want this message to get missed from other people. I don't want the public to misinterpret things because there's a process to get there and we don't have the time to discuss it. But with this knowledge alone, you'll be able to figure that out. I promise you'll be able to eventually figure out everything that the Indigo Education Academy teaches, but it will take you a lot of time. I don't know how long. Could take you a month, could take you a year. I don't know. I'm just telling you that if you want the shortcut, sign up for the newsletter so that you can get that deep knowledge, all the nuances that come out with this knowledge, because there's always another step. The rabbit hole just goes a little bit deeper. So I invite you, I compel you to sign up for the newsletter, and I intimately compel you to pay attention to what you're watching and putting into your mind, because it will affect your life. It will affect it. If you're feeling sad, go to a comedy movie. Go see a comedy. If you're feeling like a failure, go to a hero movie. It's that simple. That's kind of the technique right there. But again, there's a tremendous amount of nuances that come with it. But that's essentially the technique. That is how you can use movies and you can use television shows to create the reality you desire. So pay attention. Pay attention, because greatness doesn't come with ease. You have to be able to radically be conscious of what you are putting into your body, psychologically and physically. And in order to do that, you have to pay attention. Tap into your body. When you're watching a movie, tap into your body. See how it's making you feel. Is it making you feel stressed? Are you happy? Are you excited? Are you engaged? Because if you're not conscious of it, you're going to create mistakes. You're going to make mistakes in life. So be conscious of it. Be intimately aware with what it is that you desire and the direction that you want to head in life. Because here's the thing, there's no right or wrong. That's a big illusion that gets created. Is he good or evil? Is he right or wrong? It's this binary thing. When the reality is it 100% depends on who you want to become in life. And that's what I think gets missed in the nuances. Is like, what do you want to create? Because some people on this planet would argue that creating world peace is a bad thing. If you're the military-industrial complex, for example, creating world peace is very bad because your business model completely breaks. But if you're an innocent, common man, civilian, you think creating world peace is good. So you have to get away also from this, and this is, I guess, a little bonus. You get a little bonus education at the end of this, and maybe this would be its own podcast. Actually, yeah, let's create this as its own podcast. Let me write that down. But the point here is get away from this illusion of right and wrong, good or bad, better, worse, because it's completely subjective on the reality that you want to create for your life. Figure out what that reality is and aim for it. If you deem world peace as good as your intention, aim for that. If you don't. So when it comes back to this movie situation, I'm just going to reiterate it one more time. If you see yourself as wanting to be the hero of your life, to be successful, find the hero movies. If you want to live a life of fear and sadness and grief, find the movies that invite in fear, sadness, and grief. It's that simple. You are now conscious of it. So now you are intimately responsible for the energies that you put in your body whenever you're watching the TV, when you're watching movies. You are now responsible for it. And I will put this out there too. If you decide that you want to make a change, what will happen is you will run into the issue of momentum. You have created momentum in a certain direction, and you need to move it, and it will happen slowly. So for that knowledge, I highly recommend you go see the Indigo Education podcast I made about momentum. I know it exists. I don't remember the episode off the top of my head, but if you go, you type in momentum, you'll find it. Actually, let me look real quick. All right, it is episode 288. Indigo Education Momentum, episode 288. So if you want to understand how this relates to momentum, go check out that podcast. And if you're down to be a hero, if that is the path that you choose, if the path that you choose is world peace, if you want to become calm and peaceful, then join. Join with this knowledge. Join the Indigo Education Academy. And if you're not sure, we'll have a talk about it whenever I see you in the 6th dimension.